It's all too easy to be overawed here at Shanghai's Mobile World Congress. Intelligence is everywhere, just look at all the signs around me. And the place is awash with tech industry jargon. Do you know your NTN from your 5GA, your eSIM from your DX, or indeed your TOB? Well, at least one abbreviation is familiar to all of us, AI. And from the conference session titles, AI is being variously empowered, developed, navigated, built, invested in, unlocked and rewritten. But despite the evident enthusiasm, are we still really all at the foothills of understanding what AI will actually bring? Are we almost all still at the learning phase? And what will AI in fact itself do to that learning and the process of education? That's a question I put to Professor Angelos Stefanidis, the founding Dean of the School of AI and Advanced Computing at XJTLU Entrepreneur College.
It is actually affecting education in a number of different ways, and all levels of education, not just university education, because we are trying to work out exactly what these changes mean, both for ourselves as individuals who have to use the technology in order to facilitate many of the things that we have to do in our daily working lives, but also we need to look at the pedagogical dimension of the discipline itself, the technology, the application, and how we transmit and transfer the knowledge to the students.
Well, it's interesting you say that. It's been around for decades, but how prepared then are the academic, educational establishments, as you say, at all levels? How prepared do you think they are for the changes that AI is bringing and will continue to bring?
Not particularly well. If you look at the policy papers that have come out in the last 2 or 3 years, if you look at government white papers and green papers and yellow papers, whatever color they happen to be, they all say pretty much the same thing, that this is something that we need to invest in, we need to look at very carefully, but we don't really have all the answers at the moment because we don't really know the questions. And it's very difficult to actually find these answers because the technology is changing so fast.
Exactly.
We don't really have the time to reflect and analyze what it is that we're dealing with.
Well, actually, to exactly that point, the technology, all innovation always seems to be at an accelerating rate of change. Is there a gap between the skills that academia is preparing young people for and with, a gap between that and what industries say they actually need from young people in terms of skills?
Almost invariably, the answer to that would be yes. Government, industry, even universities, academic research say exactly the same thing. It is the case because we are changing education, or rather the role of education, because we are focusing more and more on preparing our graduates for work. And that basically means that we have to listen to the employers and understand their needs. But unfortunately, those needs change faster than we can actually record them. And often, the innovation is so fast that even the employers themselves don't know what they're going to need in 6 months. And in many ways, universities are trying to work out how all of that can come into some kind of realization, when at the same time we need to maintain some kind of traditional approach to learning and teaching, because otherwise we can't create and cultivate the great sort of minds of tomorrow who are going to come along to Huawei and develop all these new amazing technologies.
Well, on that subject, new amazing technologies, we're here at the MWC in Shanghai. What most excites you about the field of AI at the moment? What is it that you think is the key area of development or the key element that you want to see developed in future?
Without looking at very specific products, if you like, I would say the one thing that excites me and terrifies me at the same time is generative AI and its application. A lot of the traditional AI that most people relate to along the lines of machine learning or deep learning, some of these terms that most people are familiar with nowadays, that is relatively straightforward in the world of AI. And most people understand it by looking at very practical examples. For instance, machine learning, I think Huawei have developed a very, very good product that enables the prediction of short to medium term weather systems.
Pangu model.
Pangu, and that I read about it recently. The machine learning ideas behind it and the algorithm and the technology is fantastic. But in many ways, that is relatively simple and straightforward because it's computational statistics. In other words, you get lots of data, you analyze it, you come up with some predictions, end of.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the things that you've got here today are phenomenally more complicated and more complex.
Yes.
And they have to do with generative AI that goes beyond the simple predictive, if you like, model, but it begins to, let's say, synthesize information. It begins to come up with answers, and it begins to direct, if you like, the conversations that we have in ways that we don't necessarily understand.
Well, you said a minute ago it both excites you and it terrifies you. Which way are you leaning more?
I always find new technology exciting, and it's something that I try to embrace as an individual but also as an academic. It's part of our human history. Changes will take place whether we like them or not. We have to make the most of them. Admittedly, there are some changes. For instance, when you look at the ethical dimensions of the use of AI, when we look at how generative AI can create problems for different parts of society, if you like. It can isolate groups of people or communities in a particular way. Or it can make very simple, wrong decisions and recommendations about many things that affect our daily lives. But that doesn't put me off. I feel that this is something that all of us have to contribute to and make it better. Hence the conversation with industry, and looking for ways to improve things as much as possible.
So it's optimism based on sort of collaboration and collective working.
Indeed, whilst at the same time we also maintain this idea that not everything new and shiny is necessarily brilliant. We have to direct it in the right way for the benefit of everyone.